Hey everyone, how's it going? So, Tucker Carlson is apparently getting scrutinized for this statement of deporting people who are serving in other foreign militaries. And here's the thing about it, right? A lot of them, some people are trying to say that it's like, well, he's, trying to just deport anybody who's loyal to Israel in general. And, I don't think that was quite the case. They're taking this out of context. It was a July 2025 speech, okay? And I don't know why it's resurfacing now. It wasn't really that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and just play it, and I'll give you my opinions after.
There's also a sense, and this is relevant to me, and I know you're speaking about Israel, but it's not just Israel, to be honest. I think it's a huge problem. I think anybody, by the way, who serves in a foreign military should lose his citizenship immediately. There are a lot of Americans who've served in the IDF. They should lose their citizenship. There's a lot of Americans who've served in Ukraine, and they should lose their citizenship. You can't fight for another country and remain an American, period. Obviously. I mean, it's like not even... It's so funny how all...
I mean, I agree. I agree completely. It's really, really, really weird. So his speech was specifically like, hey, we not only shouldn't have dual citizens in our military, period, we also should not allow any citizen of the United States to fight in a foreign military. That means you lose your dual citizenship, or your citizenship in general in the United States if you're fighting for a foreign military. It's a huge conflict of interest. If you're going to be a dual citizen here in the United States, let's say you're, I don't know, Jamaican and, United States citizen. You know what I mean? If you have dual citizenship there, if Jamaica theoretically had an army, okay, you should not be allowed to then go and fight in that military at all and hold citizenship here in the United States. It's just that simple. If you want to be that much of a patriot to where you go to war fighting for that country, you cannot be a part of the United States at least. Now, if it's other countries, whatever. United Kingdom, whatever, they live by their own rules. Any other country, they live by their own rules. I just feel that should be a standard rule in the United States, especially seeing that we are the most powerful country in the entire world. Makes a little bit more sense. And you know what? If other countries followed suit, that would still make sense because, hey, you know what? They have national security they need to worry about. Australia should not allow their citizens to go fight for the EU. A good example, unless I don't think Australia is like part of the EU. I don't think they've ever joined that, right? But regardless, they shouldn't be going and fighting for Morocco or any other country in general. You know what I mean? Not as a dual citizen. But if that's what they want, whatever, that's their country. I'm just saying, for national security purposes, you probably don't want to allow that to happen. In the United States, I would hardcore push for that. I don't see anything wrong with this whatsoever. Now, this is kind of how it's being spun a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Tucker Carlson doesn't necessarily mean this, but he was pretty consistent in the speech, so I'm going to go ahead and guess that he doesn't actually mean it. That doesn't mean he doesn't, I'm just putting my 2 cents in. A July 2025 speech by Tucker Carlson aimed... why did I say aimed? A July 2025 speech by Tucker Carlson at a Turning Point USA conference in resurfaced amid Middle East tensions, calling for stripping U.S. citizenship from Americans serving in foreign militaries like Israel's IDF and Ukraine's forces, emphasizing undivided allegiance. The clip has fueled online divisions among conservatives, with supporters endorsing an America First approach, and critics, including Senator Ted Cruz, questioning Carlson's recent defenses at Qatar, a nation hosting Hamas leaders and major U.S. military base. The debate underscores ongoing U.S. concerns over dual loyalty and foreign entanglement as Gaza operations continue. So here's the thing. So Ted Cruz is coming out and he's saying, this was just yesterday. Very odd. Actually, last night, really. Any explanations for why Tucker Carlson would be bending over backwards to defend Hamas sheltering American-hating Qataris? So let's see here. Commentary. Let's see what is said. It's never enough. You'd be a much happier person if you showed a little gratitude. That was J.D. Vance's message to fired MSNBC race lady Joy Reid on Thursday after multimillionaire complained about America not providing her enough opportunity. Reid reportedly raked in 7 figures during her years on cable news. That sounds like a pretty good opportunity to us. So anyway, where are these statements coming from? Tucker Carlson is working hard. This is Tucker Carlson's statement. Where's his name on it? You know? I do not understand what I'm being shown here. You know, Tucker Carlson's working very hard to defend... Oh, this is his newsletter. Okay. Well, at least there's some clarification here. Okay, well, let's see what he says about this. Okay. So, former primetime host isn't the only person or group of people who should hear the vice president's advice. Neocons' reactions to Donald Trump granting Qatar a NATO-style security guarantee showed that they, too, could use some gratitude. Warhawks like Mark Levin aren't angry at the president's decision because they think it's bad for the United States. Our country is barely their concern. The reason they're upsetting... I cannot read today, guys. That's actually frustrating. Anyway, the reason they are upset is that the pledge could hurt the nation they actually care about. Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu ordered an attack on Qatar's capital city last month, and he'd love to be able to do so again. America's new commitment serves as a deterrent that even he is unlikely to ignore. So he and his allies are very, very upset. I don't know if that's true or not. I can't verify that. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure Trump allowed that to happen, so I don't know. I don't know where Tucker would get that info from per se, but maybe he's got his sources. I don't know. I have no clue. Before going on their usual rampages about how anyone who opposes their views is anti-Semitic, these foreign shills should take a step back and recognize the enormous amount of charity the U.S. and Qatar have done for their cause. You know, it is weird. He is running some defense for Qatar. You know, there is all of that. But hey, we can go even a step further. Qataris also should not be allowed to be in our military. And we should not have dual citizen Qatari American citizens, if they exist. I don't know how many there are in the United States. I'm sure there's at least a couple. Should not be fighting in Qatar for their military. I think Tucker was pretty consistent on that, so I'm really, I really don't know. Are people defending Qatar? Are they getting paid by Qatar? I mean, Qatar just had that whole thing of comedians show up there that Bill Burr got canceled for. You know what I mean? Bill Burr, let's put it this way. Bill Burr was like, hey, anybody going over to the Middle East and doing their shows, like, called out a couple comedians, like, 20 years ago, and said that is blood money. You know, they can't pay me enough money to do that. And then here, 20 years later, that's what Bill Burr did. He got paid to specifically do that and was like, they have a McDonald's. Isn't that crazy? They're just like us. And it's just like, oh, wow, you're a hypocrite. And, you know, the thing about it is nobody really gave the other comedians crap for taking the contract. But everybody gave Bill Burr the crap because he's the one who said he would never do that. And that he had principles. Looking at you, Turkey Tom. He just a comedian? Was he just joking 20 years ago? Oh, man. It's hilarious. I got into a little tiff with Turkey Tom a while ago, and he decided pretty much to go on the argument of, well, he's a comedian, he can pretty much do whatever he wants, never take him serious. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure, you know, I'm sure. They don't have any real opinions. Everything that comes out of their mouth is always a joke. Always. Even whenever they're just trying to talk to you normally. And it's people like that say stupid stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, no offense to Turkey Tom, he does great work, okay? But whenever they come out and they give the all pass to comedians on everything, it just literally makes me want to, anytime a comedian ever were to come up to me and ask me to, like, you know, for something decent, like, I don't know, comedian has a large box in his hand or something. He's walking down the street and he's like, oh, God, I'm fixing to drop this. Can you grab it real quick? I'm just going to go, and just walk off because I can't take a comedian serious. Yeah, it's just such a stupid argument. You know what I mean? Like, what? I should just always treat it that, like, a comedian is just always joking. If that's the kind of pass that people want to give like that, in that sense, where literally he gives a serious interview, he wasn't joking on it, he was seriously saying, hey, that's blood money. You shouldn't be taking that. How rich do you freaking need to be? And now he's literally at that point where he's like, I need to be more rich, and he's taking blood money. And then they're like, well, he was a comedian. He, you know, whatever. He was joking. Okay. Sure. I'll just treat every single sentence. If they just walk by and go, just gonna start laughing, right? Just completely ridiculous. Anyway, so Ted Cruz says, why does Tucker say nicer things about Qatar than he's ever talked about America? I don't think that's true per se, though. I hear him talk about America in a positive light all of the time. You know, it's really, really weird. But as for why he's defending Qatar as well, that can, again, raise questions. You know, very odd. Any explanations for why Tucker Carlson would be bending over backwards to defend Hamas sheltering American-hating Qataris. You know, I mean, maybe he is, right? But at the end of the day, okay, at the end of the day, Tucker was pretty consistent with no dual citizens, no military service. Okay? Pretty simple. If you're a dual citizen, you probably shouldn't be serving in the military, period. Even the American military. Again, dual citizen, conflict of interest. Just makes sense. And he seems to be pretty consistent on that. If Tucker Carlson was just simply saying the IDF and then glazing Qatar, I would put him in the Candace Owens bag. I'd say, hey, he's, you know, clearly somebody's paying him like Candace. You know, somebody's probably paying Candace, I would imagine. I want proof before I would definitively say that. See, Candace, that's how that works. It's pretty easy to do. You don't just make baseless accusations without any evidence, which I imagine later on today, Candace will release her live stream, or she'll do her live stream, whatever. And we'll see what crazy crap she's got cooked up today. But that'll be the next video. As for Tucker Carlson, I don't see anything wrong here. Do you guys? Please let me know down in the comment section below. Please like, subscribe, and share. Please go down to my description and join my Discord. Be really cool. We can talk during my live streams. You guys can send me videos that I can react to, you know, live and whatnot. We can just, you know, have good conversations. It's really good. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I didn't notice anything off the mark here, and I didn't see him calling for the deportation of the Jews, per se. That, a lot of this stuff, kind of you know, it's implied here. It's implied here that he's like, you know, Tucker Carlson pushes for citizenship loss for U.S. citizens in foreign militaries. I mean, it says it better here. In the, down here on the little live, or not live, on today's news, it had said something like, Tucker Carlson calls for the deportation of Israeli citizens or something like that. So they definitely changed it a bit. But again, it was kind of implied Tucker Carlson's advocating for the deportation of Jews, and it's just like, no, that's not what I got from his speech at all, and that's not what I'm getting from his article whatsoever, his newsletter. Like, you know, it's just, he's glazing Qatar a bit. You know what I mean? But he's not asking to deport anybody in general. He's just saying dual citizens should not be in the military. I think that's totally reasonable. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.